Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. You're listening to Making Life Brighter Radio, and I'm your host, Winifred Adams. We have been chronicling Commander-in-Chief, Russell-J. Gould here on Making Life Brighter Radio, and you heard it here first. We were the ones that brought you, the information about the 5G and what he did about that, and who he is, and why he's so vitally important to our world today. And I would like to share with you a very special show today because I have with me Mitchel Smith, who has not only used the technology that Russell's been talking about of the grammar, using it by way of exercising it to his own offense and defense in a world that most people don't understand is actually happening around them. So I'd like to introduce him now and say thank you for coming, Mitchel. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you for having me, Winifred. It is truly an honor. I have watched, many of your videos, and it is just truly an honor, and I really respect you. And I just want to start off by saying that I am responsible for anything that I say. This does not reflect Russell J. Gould or the quantum community or the quantum language group on Facebook. I am learning, and so if I do mess up, I will correct if given the opportunity.
Thank you for saying that, and that's exactly what the spirit of this is all about. Stop and correct and actually set it into motion in a proper grammatical fashion, actually a mathematical fashion, forward and back. And for those of you that are following along, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But Mitchel, is it okay if I refer to you as Mitchel as we go along? Because we know that you're Mitchel, Smith.
Yeah, let me just state for the record, my name is neutral _claimant _federal _witness _federal _postmaster _bank _banker Mitchel Smith period in textile, first letter capital, all rest lowercase.
Thank you for stating that. Now you have a fantastic story, and what brought my attention to your story is your posting the other day in the quantum grammar group about how you actually have recordings of what you did in court, and you stopped a foreclosure on your property. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. So the one I believe you were talking about, what I stopped was they were about to terminate my parental rights, and I stopped them from doing that.
No, what was the foreclosure then?
I'm not sure which video you're talking about.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
because I thought that's what the thing was, but it was.
So the current foreclosure one I'm working on, yes. I have stopped them. Yes, they cannot get past my quantum documents.
Correct.
What they have done is they have just the presiding head judge has just recused the entire bench, and they're trying to kick my case out of the county at this point.
Right. That's exactly what I'm referring to, and why that's important.
All right. I'm working on so many cases. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, because you have such a big story to tell. You have many stories to tell. This is just one of them, and I understand when it comes in like this. But you know what I love doing is being organic with people. This isn't rehearsed. Anything we ever do is totally live.
That's what I like as well. Exactly. When I am in these venues on these performances, I usually don't set up ahead of time. By the pressure, it pushes the natural ability out of me, and it's much more powerful.
Well, it sounds like you're almost channeling information as you come into this, like you switch a gear and you go into the mode of what you need to do. You're a bit of a warrior in the grammar world, and let's talk about that. First of all, you've been up against judges, you've been in the courts yourself, you've really done it. You're not talking about it, you're the man that's done it. So let's talk about what we just mentioned with the foreclosure proceeding. Explain a little bit about that and what you just said. How did you come
So I just want everybody to understand my natural self is peaceful and friendly. But when I get into my federal judge capacity, I'm not the nicest guy to be around. So
And
I
would you say
try
that's
to,
because the grammar, you have the knowledge of the grammar, and why
yeah,
is it, for those that don't understand, people like you and Russell need to say, I can put on that face? Why is that necessary?
but let me just back up. I need to advertise that I am not a federal judge. But I do have the federal judge knowledge. I was authorized by David, but as soon as I seen the video of Russell, he did not force me. It was my own, self that yeah, that I said that I'm no longer a federal judge because I was not authorized by the commander in chief, Russell-J Gould, which is the chief federal judge of the United States territory. He conveyed to me that I just simply don't have the training. I don't have the 14,000 hours training, and we are in agreement.
Amazing, amazing. Well, let's jump into the case, because you need to put on that sort of tough persona and get into it. Why? For those
Exactly, because you have to understand, we are dealing with the most psychotic, criminally insane criminals that you can't just patty cake around, or else they're just gonna walk all over you. So I'm forced to go above them, and so when I do that, I kind of lose everybody, because like my last trial, I literally prosecuted every single person that was in that walked through that door in that courtroom. I prosecuted the judge. I prosecuted the district attorney. I got the deputy that beat me up and stole my house. I got him to confess to felony treason live, right there in front of everybody, and I didn't even file one piece of paper. So this is another thing. So what I've been working on is, I was always so afraid that they're just gonna arrest me, steal all my paperwork, and they've done it over and over. But I tuned my skills in where I can go into any venue and I don't need any piece of paper, and I can prosecute anybody that challenges me at this point.
Now, why would you need to do that? You see, for people in the outside world that are, I say it outside of the grammar and the quantum grammar world, that are learning or don't know about this yet, it makes it seem like they're after you. So explain that so those out there can understand why they would be after you and what this means. What is it you have that they need or want or don't want you to have?
Well, for one, at this point, I'm virtually unbeatable in the courtroom. I don't say that as a brag, because what I have been put through to get to that position, no one wants to go through. I can guarantee you that. I have been going mostly, at the beginning, I was going after their oath. I learned the syntax, so I syntaxed their oath. They figured this out, and after years, they just, they won't give me their oath. Half
Who's
the people
they,
don't
though?
understand.
Who's they? For the people that are out there.
Judges and lawyers and attorneys. So, like I said, I didn't plan on it. I figured they would, tell me the truth, hand me the oath, and then I can say I have physical evidence in my hand, that a crime has been committed. But my last trial by jury, none of them, the police, the deputy, the judge, and the district attorney would not give me their oath. I still got that deputy to confess to felony treason live on the witness stand, and I didn't have his oath. I got him to say that he doesn't know what it is, and he doesn't have one. He was so scared because I could tell the district attorney just told him to play dumb. Well, you can't play dumb with me, okay? When you play dumb, I'm just gonna run all over you. And then if you try to play smart, well, to be honest, it's even worse.
Why were you in there in the first place? What got you into that position that had you use this, and how did you even know how to use this?
I had filed quantum documents, so they wrote up a fraudulent warrant, had me arrested at the courthouse when I was at the hearing, just trying to trip me up. I proved in open court on multiple different levels that the warrant was 100% fraud. But then once I got there, they couldn't get jurisdiction over me, so they just held me in contempt, dragged me onto the foreign vessel and dry dock, and then they, proceeded to basically fake like they had jurisdiction over me. And that's how they dragged me into the whole venue.
And so what began this journey for you, how you came to know David Windmiller and Russell? I mean, where did this begin for you?
So they have alienated me from 3 separate generations of my sons and daughters, encompassing every child I have put on this earth. And all they can come up with after 30 years is that I told the lawyer to get right with God and stop torturing my children, where they had a branch of not Homeland Security, but the Department of Justice raid my home and arrest me and give me a 5-year sentence for this.
For saying
just because I was unbeatable before quantum, right? I actually penetrated the world's most sophisticated criminal organization on planet Earth, the family court system. I had an informant in the judge's chambers, and the informant had told me how they were going to because they couldn't beat me and they couldn't get me to do anything. There's no drugs, no alcohol, no violence, no threats, nothing. I wasn't going to do anything to keep me from my son and daughter, because I had already been, alienated previously. So I knew there was no way I was going to do anything. So because they couldn't beat me, the judge had told her how they were going to push my kids to near death and try to make me look crazy.
Oh, that's so scary. How many times does this happen then? This must go on all the time. This is something you're alluding to is common.
What do you mean? I don't understand.
That this is common practice in family court.
So because no matter what they would do, so like I would come up with, they would come up, with all this just stupidness, and I would get like a forensic analysis from the crime lab and show that they were tapping my phone, from the crime lab, and the judge's response would be like, I'm not a judge qualified for criminal activity. And then I would have them proving. They had my daughter depicting suicide at 6 years old. And it's all documented, everything. I have proof of everything. And I would come in and I would show the proof, and the judge would be like, the judge would tell me, family court judge would tell me I'm not qualified for child abuse. I later found out this is correct. CPS is not qualified for child abuse. So
Wow.
Who do you have to go to? You have to go to the sheriff's department. So what happens when I go to the sheriff's department and I tell them, they get me in the back room and they say, they get in my face and try to, get me to hit them or try to, provoke a fight, saying there's nothing we can do about it. What are you going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? So getting back to the foreclosures, the sheriff's department and the courts have put 120 million of our 350 million population into no housing. So I am now the one that is holding these people accountable. I have recently taken 2 houses from 2 different sheriff's deputies, all done 100% legally. I follow the law. That's all I ask for anybody, is simply follow the law, come correct on the grammar. That's it. They tried to do an illegal eviction. Bam! I had on the gate and on the property, trust for the trespassing on this land is with the fee of the $500,000. Pretty simple. It's a positive performance contract. If you agree to perform, then it is your duty to pay through the performance contract. And now they are in a $500,000 lawsuit that is already filed.
Wow.
Okay, I'm not playing any games here. To show my honor for the chief, I will give the houses back, but I want them to know that if you foreclose on anybody's house, we're coming for your house. Okay, I am commanding a freeze on all foreclosures in America. Okay, the calmness that this would produce on the entire nation is second to none. For this one step by itself, no one has to do anything. No one has to file any paperwork. And I'm telling you, if you are a law enforcement officer and you foreclose on someone's house, me and my guys, we know what we know. We're confident, we're correct, and we're not afraid of anything. And just to prove, I wanted to do it ahead of time. Not only have we taken one house, but we've taken it again. And so if you foreclose on anyone's house, you agree that we can come and take your house. So my Tsitsi Nick in my family means Uncle Nick, was a local sheriff in Sonoma County. Half my family are sheriff's deputies, okay? I have more respect for sheriff's deputies than you could ever imagine. If I disrespect a sheriff's deputy, I'm not going to be welcome at Thanksgiving dinner. This is not my plan. My plan is that I'm looking to double the pay of sheriff's deputies. I am looking to forgive their families and their home loans so that we can begin to build a better world for ourselves. So they don't have to commit crimes. Now they're making double the money. They don't have to pay a mortgage. So they don't have to commit these crimes that their bosses are making them commit.
Which is specifically going in and foreclosing on people and
foreclosing on homes when they don't have the authority. Why? Simple reason. The bank never signed the contract. This is a unilateral contract, void from the beginning. We don't need to go any further than that. We don't have to wait for a hearing 6 months from now. We don't have to hire a lawyer or get a judge. You go home right now and you look at your home loan, you're the only one to sign. The bank never signed. Not only did they not sign, but there's not even a space for them to sign. Okay, so there's one. Two, you want to get the bank CPA on the witness stand. Once I got that bank CPA on the witness stand, he's done. Okay, all I have to do is ask him one question. I want to see the double debit or the double entry. This is where the bank has to show they lost money when they gave you money, but they can't do it because they never gave you any money. They took it out of your Social Security account. And when they did this, they did not have your permission or your authority. So they actually committed a bank robbery. Because they committed a crime, that vacates their ability to contract you. There's three. The entire home loan contract, I have syntaxed it. There's about 4,000 mistakes in about 6,000 words. How are you going to say you did something 6,000 times on an accident? You can't.
And it's standard practice as an accident.
Exactly. How can I protect everyone in the United States from every lawyer and attorney in 30 seconds? In order for there to be a structured sentence, you can only have one verb per sentence. The average lawyer uses 3 to 5 verbs per sentence. So it's so bastardized that it means absolutely nothing. They do this for every sentence they have ever written. So as soon as the lawyer or attorney or judge writes their document and signs it, people are, oh man, I have this order. The way I look at it, I now have their signed confession for the criminal activity that they're perpetrating on the American people and the people of the public. And I haven't even met them yet.
Wow. Just to stop there for 1 second, Mitchell, Smith, what you're talking about is an epic change, a dynamic change in the entire system, and you are actively working at it using the parsec syntax grammar that Commander-in-Chief Russell-J. Gould has set forth and authorizes the use of. But let's be clear, it's not the use of it for gain, it's the use of it to stop fraud. Is that correct?
Yes. Everything they're doing is fraud and a lie. All we're trying to do is correct the world. That's it. We're not trying to, chastise anyone or make anyone look uneducated. That's not our goal. All our goal is to just simply, everything that is in place is perfect. All we have to do is follow the law and come correct on the grammar, and everything will be fine.
So then how do you propose that people en masse would learn the grammar? This has been a question that I've had since the beginning of these interviews with Commander-in-Chief. And I really do look at this sincerely saying, how are we going to achieve that? What do you think?
So I just look back on what drove me. Why did I, and the thing of it is, immediately, as soon as I seen it, I got it. Just within, literally, I'm not kidding you, 30 seconds, and I knew it. And I thought, oh, wow, all I'm going to do is I'm going to study this, I'm going to learn it, and then I'm going to teach it. Everybody's going to get it, and we're going to cure the world. Man, was I up for a rude awakening. Mm-hmm. Nobody got it. Everybody was saying that it's fake.
People aren't ready for it entirely. I mean,
so I kind of just break it down to people. It basically, we're not talking about any federal postal judge. We're not talking about, all this quantum basic grammar. The average person does not know basic grammar. And this isn't an accident. This was engineered so that when they bastardize the grammar, you don't even know it. And you just accept it.
Well, you're taught one way, but no one's taught. It's literally a shift, almost like becoming dyslexic in order to learn what's correct. You have to shift into understanding what that is. And once you get the cadence of that and the rhythm of that, and you begin to realize what you've been taught, you have to go through the shift of understanding that everything you taught wasn't correct and it was on purpose. Let's make that clear, that it was purposeful, like you said. So what was their purpose in making that, teaching everybody in the world incorrectly?
So what I have figured out, the way that they do everything, and I really learned a lot on the last jury by trial by jury, is because I was able to see how they took the mind over of the jury. And I tried to, because they have damaged my kids at such an alarming rate, I had to become a expert child psychologist. And so my understanding of the mind is huge. And the way they do it is when the human mind feels pain or fear, it shuts down the subconscious like a light switch. And when the subconscious, for those of you that don't understand, the subconscious is what actually runs you. And when the subconscious shuts down, it shuts down the critical thinking. When the critical thinking shuts down, then they just kick you around like a dirty shoe. They do that to every single person that walks through those courtroom doors. And I tried to explain it to them. You tried to explain to the jury how they were taking their mind over. What was happening, what I figured out is every time I try to say something, immediately the district attorney would object, and then the judge goes on, babble, 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 says the same thing over and over for about a minute. And it basically clears their mind, right? And I had, never been in, that was my first jury trial, or trial by jury, very important.
Is that what I heard? Is that the recording that I heard, that one?
No, that was me fighting for my friend for his house. So what I have done is I've found a back door, and I'm able to become a claimant in your case, and I'm able to fight for you just like I was you.
Wow, that's valuable.
And man, they don't like that. And then so once I turned in my quantum documents, they cannot get past the quantum documents, plain and simple. Okay.
But going back to what you were saying about the jury, let's talk about the jury and
exactly. So I tried to explain to them, what was going on, but what happens is they take control of the jury's mind far before they enter the courtroom. You come into their building, you sit in watch their videos, and they're programming you. And then what do? They put you in a room. You don't know when it's coming up. You're like, oh God, when's this going to happen? I just want to go home, and they're mixing up your mind. And then once they get you in there, they don't let me say anything, right? They just, they break, what they're doing is they're breaking up the continuance of evidence. And then they pump them full of all their information. And so when the jury goes in for the deliberation, they literally, in their subconscious, they have nothing that I have said and only what they have said. And I could see it just clear as day. It's amazing.
That's
Once you
brilliant.
get to the point that I'm at, I can see clearly. And so I have a claim of the live life. So I have the ability to, I have the nativity to create my own thoughts. So I can see clearly. So at this point, I'm simply walking through their fiction.
And let's talk about the live life.
I now have the ability to stake a claim. And now we're coming with some damage claims. And I'm going to be real honest. These damage claim fees are going to be awfully steep.
When people create a claim on someone like yourself that has this claim of the life, and they can't technically state a claim because they don't have one. So how does that work? Explain that a little bit so the people out there understand.
So, the first thing you want to do is get a claim of the live life. What that's doing is bringing you, what you want to be brought out of that fraudulent birth certificate system. Okay, if you're either in the fiction or you're in the fact, there's no in between gray area. So if you don't have a claim of the live life, I guarantee you're in the fraudulent birth certificate system, which was canceled out in 1999 for fraudulent conveyance of language. But once you have the claim of the live life, you are now in the fact. But you can't just say, okay, I got the claim of the live life, and now everything's hunky dory. No, you must have the knowledge to back it up. The claim of the live life is, by itself, it's not as powerful. You have to have the knowledge and the quantum documents to back it up. The claim of the live life just gives you the authority to do these things.
And so for those people out there that would like a claim of the live life, we have discussed some of that in the past, and there's more information coming out now, along with Commander-in-Chief Russell J. Gould's new documentary, The Last Flag Standing. And he talks about that and what's upcoming around that. And so he's setting a system into motion where people can obtain that as well. There are avenues in which to obtain that, but the quantum community is one of them, and he'll have his official sources coming out soon just to put answer and some closure on that. But let's get back to your story, because your stories, plural, are very compelling. You yourself
let me
have
just
taken
add one more little thing. So for those of you that are interested, I would join the quantum community. Get on the email list. You can get a claim of the live life from there. We have people that can tutor you. There's other venues that you can go into that you can get training from. The chief is in the process right now of setting up a website to do claims of the live life. So more and more people are getting involved in understanding and waking up and understanding that you are either in the fact or in the fiction, okay? And right now, I am 100% in the fact, okay? I'm a quantum citizen, I have a claim of the live life, and I have the knowledge. The biggest thing is in your name. Nobody can tell you what your name is. Only you can, say what your name is. And no matter how many times they tell you, they try to call you defend it. I tell them DE is no, FEND is defend, and ANT is contract. No, I'm not a no-fend contract. You need to be able to send, where the power comes in is when you can syntax the words as fast as they come out of their mouth. man, that is powerful stuff. And it makes them sit up in their seat and they're like, oh man, these guys know about the grammar. We have no way out. And until you can do that, you're extremely vulnerable. So
why is
what
the
drove
system
me
that's
is,
wrong so rock solid in place?
yeah, so what drove me is I just pointed myself up. I'm completely positive. I just pound myself with positivity. No matter what you're going through, you have to steer your mind in positivity and point it up. The pain that they put people through, I could start to feel it coming on. I call them pain body episodes because of what they've done to my son and daughter. I had to watch my son basically die right in front of my face, and luckily he came back to life. But because of the pressure that they put on, his mind literally popped, all documented, and they just try to cover everything up. Well, at this point, they can no longer cover it up. They know I've got them on attempted murder of my sons and daughter. I'm a direct descendant of a sheriff. They're not getting away with this, and they know it. And that's why the entire county of Contra Costa County, California, is running. You can't run from me, okay? But I pointed myself up, and by pointing yourself up with positivity, you channel the energy, because the energy that is being given to you, like a parent saving a child or their son or daughter, there is not a more powerful energy on planet Earth. And when you point that up, I'm telling you, you're unbeatable. But what's happening is people immediately point it down, and they lead to suicide. That's why there's so many suicides. And so I'm trying to curve that. And there's other things.
Empowering is not even a correct grammatical word, but you are for the empowerment of the people, right?
I know it's hard. I want to be able, the reason why I'm speaking like this is so I can communicate, because most of the people out there aren't going to get it yet.
Well, you're passionate about what you've been through. The difference between talking about the grammar world and participating fully in the grammar world is you. You are a living example of someone that's taken on the responsibility of a live life claim, and I say it that way. It is a obligation to stop and correct where you see it's needed, and to uphold that. And it's rule one and rule same. You're living that. You're also trying to stop and correct where there's been apparently some disassociations or incongruencies. These are all words I shouldn't be using because of the beginnings and
it's fine. It's fine.
But these are the turning hinge points for going forward and correcting our world and making this a place where we can actually come together in joinder and contract in harmony and peace. Because what you're saying is that the system that's in place now does not operate on positivity, harmony, and peace. It operates in a perpetually fraudulent and entrapment type capacity. So to trap somebody is for what purpose? Why would they bother to do this? Why is this even in place?
So what I want everybody to understand, the biggest thing that I want you to take from this is that their entire fraudulent system is obsolete. Quantum is already taken over. You just don't know it yet, okay? Their fraudulent system is like an 8-track tape, and quantum is like a laser disc. There's no, oh, should we keep listening to the 8-track tape? It's just, quantum is automatic at this point.
So if all the young people in the world learned this from the get-go and learned it properly, what would happen?
We would have a much better world.
Can you explain how that would be?
The contracts would mean what they say.
Okay.
That's what people that I have taught that understand this, that's what they enjoy the most. That's what everybody is looking for. The truth, correctness. That's all anybody is asking for. And this delivers it with no consequences.
What do you think is in the way of this system going into place fully?
Um, the ignorance of the public.
So more knowledge
No,
of the
no,
people.
no, no, disrespect intended.
No, but
But
if
it's
people
because,
learn,
so what I have figured out is why it is so hard for people to wake up is because everything, because I had watched, the way I learned it is because how they done it to me. They do it little by little, little by little. Nobody notices it. And pretty soon it's this whole big thing. And then you try to, and then someone comes in and tries to jump on it and change it. You can't. It has to be, the process has to be undone slowly as well.
well, let me ask you this. Everyone knows of the interviews I've done with Russell, and they know about the Rex Bear show. I've heard everyone talk about it, and we were on there. And on that show, I talked about how my case in California for just simply trying to refinance my house was the first case to go to the DA in a fraud scam. And I had called every lawyer in LA that was a big lawyer to try and help me because somebody literally was defrauding me in the process of simply refining. Well, come to find out, they wouldn't take my case. They wouldn't even talk to me. They all hung up on me. They hung up on me because they had probably something to do with the writing of phony mortgages and crummy mortgages in the get-go, but they had to turn on a dime and switch a gear and take a different position now that the world had changed. So using that as an example, that's all done now. But if I have a live life claim and that happened to me, how would I use that, or how would I have used that in that instance if I had known?
Um, we would file quantum documents. So right now, I'm done this multiple times now. One on my friend's house and one just a couple days ago in court. My last jury trial, I prosecuted the district attorney. I gave her about 55 years in prison and about $32 million in fines, all in about 30 seconds. They brought in every district attorney in that entire county, and every single one of them, their mouths were just like to the floor. Every time I looked over, all their mouths were just completely wide open.
And so
So
what gives
now,
you the authority to do that? And that's what the average person is going to ask. How does he have that authority? How would I have that authority?
you have to have the knowledge. Everything boils down to the knowledge.
So you're not a title necessarily. It's the grammar and the knowledge that gives you that authority.
It's the knowledge. I'm telling you, like you could tell Chief Justice, Judicial Council, and the 20 guest judges of their meeting that I crashed and gave my first order as a federal judge. You could tell them that I'm not a federal judge, but they're not going to believe you. Why? Because I stood my ground and I had the knowledge and the way that I held myself. They knew no matter, just because some title, that doesn't mean nothing, right? They know. Chief Justice of San Francisco loves me because of the way that I handle myself, because that I am very respectful every single time. I mean, I hand them their ass, but I do it.
Yeah, I heard that.
Coming from a good place.
I heard that in your recordings, and people we'll have another show where Mitchel Smith comes back on, and we will share those recordings so you get to hear him live in court. It's astounding. And
yeah, so I take the entire courtroom over. I charge the bank attorney. I charge the bank with bank robbery. I charge the bank attorney with identity theft. Prove the judge is not a judge. Kick the judge out of the court. Take over the courtroom. Authorize the clerk of the court as my clerk of the court. But it is my abilities are so over because I have to go above the district judge, and so when I have to do that, I am over the top of the normal citizen's head that they just watched it, but they still can't believe it because it's on such a higher level. And so my focus right now is to try to lower that and not, come in so just like Because man, once I get going, I am just like, I'm like a steamroller, right? And
Well, it sounds
the
like you
average
know
person
what you're
can't
doing.
understand it. You know, the average person just can't understand it. And so that's what I'm working on now, is just once I'm able to calm down a little bit, man, am I going to be just like unbelievable. I mean, I'm unbelievable now, but I'm still a little out of control. You know, I still need a lot of training. But I have, you know, high control over myself. Like I can be in the most, you know, prosecuting, you know, stage, and I can drop all baggage at the, you know, drop of a hat. So I do have that power, but I do need to calm down to get my message across.
Well, what is your message exactly, and where is this headed? I know that you said that you're helping those regarding
My
foreclosure.
biggest message is I am trying to, because what's happened is they are purposely destroying our sons and daughters, and they are destroying them at a rate that has just never been seen for in history. And what's happened is they're destroying them for future use in the future. So they're going to be so screwed up that it's easier for, once they've been damaged, it's easier to take control of them later on.
Manipulate them.
So
But
my
who's
biggest
they?
focus at the court system, the government, those who are assumed in power. It's really the crowd that rules. People just need to understand it's not the government, it's not me, it's not this person, it's the crowd that rules. The crowd is what rules. But my main focus at this point is nobody is working on a reunification program. So what's happening is once you kick their ass so bad, then they say, okay, here, have the kid back. Well, the kid hasn't been with you for extended periods of time, so you don't even know each other. So when you go back, it's like a train wreck. You know, you don't know each other. There's arguing. No one has, you know, trained you on how to deal with what's going on. So what I'm working on is a reunification program, because even though I was still having custody, they broke me down slowly to 1% custody for like 3.5 years, which basically they purposely destroyed the bond. I was the main caretaker for my son and daughter for their entire life, right? So when you break the bond of a main caretaker, it's literally like teaching the child not to go to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. It's literally that bad. So you have 3 main parts of your brain: one to mate, one to eat, and one to bond. When you break the bonding part of your brain, it's a major part of your brain, and it destroys all relationships for the child's entire life. That's why it is so important. That's why psychological child abuse is the worst kind of abuse. If you get hit, you get a bruise, it heals, but the mental stays with you for the rest of your life. Right. That's why I have focused on this. Let me just give you one of my public speeches on childhood. So through millions of years of evolution, the genes that allowed children to reject parents were selectively removed from the gene pool. Children do not reject parents. Who rejects parents? The other spouse does. So what you have is the anger and disgust from one parent going down through the child, thus using the child as a psychological battleground. Children do not reject parents. So that's why this can be diagnosed 100% of the time as psychological child abuse. If the child is not autistic, you simply do not see these type of actions in their system display. So it doesn't come natural. Through the millions of the years, the children in the beginning that rejected their parents, they were eaten by predators. So we learned real quick, as soon as we were born, we bond to our parents, both mother and father equally. So when you see a child that is attacking the other parent, that's not an authentic attachment system. And this is what we have to tap into. People are saying, oh, parental alienation. And so the courts, the judge, oh no, parental alienation, that doesn't exist. But when you connect it with the attachment system, that's where you have all the clinical background and study. and that's where it becomes powerful.
Well, it sounds like you've really put in some time to understanding how this
Right?
comes
Of
about,
course.
and then literally how to take that into action using the grammar. So there's quite a few parents out there that could certainly benefit from this.
Let me just throw one more thing in. So the people that I would like to bring together is Dr. Craig Childress from LA and Dr. Kathleen Ray from Canada. Dr. Kathleen Ray has already set up a reunification program, but I would like to just try to expand. And Dr. Craig Childress is like an expert on parental alienation. He was the one that could really understand and he just really gets it. See, the normal therapist is just not going to get this. What happens is when the child is with the abusing parent and they're not with the authentic parent, the child must bond with this parent because it has to survive. It's a survival mechanism, and what it is, it's called a hyperbond. And so when those go into the normal psychologist, they say, oh yeah, they have a loving, warming relationship. No, they're missing it. It is what's called a hyperbond. The child has to bond in order to survive. But what we need are subspecialists that understand hyper parental alienation, or no, not a hyper, obsessed parental alienation. Like, I haven't seen my kids in probably almost 2 years now. No drugs, no violence, no threats, no alcohol, nothing. The only thing they have on me is that I told a lawyer to get right with God and stop torturing my children, where they had Department of Justice raid my home and arrest me and give me a 5-year sentence. So what do? So I flip this. So now, Director of Department of Justice, how stupid do you look by arresting me and giving me a 5-year sentence because I told the lawyer to get right with God and stop torturing my children? So this is how, you know, I have these people just like up against the wall, and I'm not trying. That was when I was arrested by the Department of Justice. I was so honored, and I didn't feel more, never felt more safe in my own home. They understood. They knew me. I told them my family background in law enforcement. I was honored to be in the presence of that commanding officer, and he got value from me, right? He got value from me because he could sense that I was on a higher level of thinking, and my ability is that I absorb their power, right? Whatever situation I am put in, I absorb the power. So I absorbed his power like I can't even describe. And when they figured out that, they got my daughter depicting suicide and how stupid this was, all they could do was look at the floor. When it was time to arrest me, and I put my hands behind my back, they refused to handcuff me. They eventually did, but they showed the honor of the pause, right? I don't know if many of you can understand that, but that was definitely, a high honor, but they still did it. They knew what they were doing was 100% wrong. They did it anyway. And so now by doing and those actions, that is what's given me the authority to prosecute them.
So let's play a game for a minute.
Sure.
This is not a game, but I'm going to let you show what you do as an example. So I'm going to say some things, and then I want you to correct me as you.
No, let me go freestyle. Let me go freestyle. Attorney General and Director of Department of Justice, at what point did you realize that it was a crime to push a federal judge's son and daughter to near death? This is the stupidity that I'm forced to deal with. I didn't know it was a crime then. I know it's a crime now. Okay, let me just educate you. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Go ahead, Winifred. I'm a pretty hard act to follow.
Are you trying to make me blonde? No, come on. No. Now, the truth is, we've got anything that you say that is anything that a person says that is not in the proper grammar can be tripped up in this system. That's what people don't understand. So if you don't
Yes.
do
So
this,
here, let me chime in on that. So you can't mix the two. Like I said before, you're either in the fact or you're in the fiction. Me, I'm 100% in the fact. Every single one of my documents now are 100% quantum. A couple days ago, the judge literally said she doesn't have jurisdiction over me multiple times before I even got to say my name. And then I said, who in here is representing the district attorney? She jumped out of her seat, screamed at the district attorney, don't answer any of his questions. I just wanted to know who he was.
Why didn't she want you to answer the question? Or
what his business was here in the port.
Because he doesn't have business.
If he autographed the $1 US postal stamp, paying his fee for the freight, like I did, to be in the port.
So he's not even legally in the courtroom, is what you're saying?
No.
He's not in the port.
And I asked who, because all I was there to do was to dock my vessel in the clerk's port. And I asked, who in here is the clerk? Mum was the word. They wouldn't tell me who the clerk was in the courtroom. There were so many, they had a bunch of them in there. I couldn't figure out who it was.
But why not? What would happen if they did?
So my main goal was to get an evidence sticker and get their file stamp on my quantum documents. And then I would autograph my name through the evidence sticker and the file stamp. And basically the case would be over. They would not be able to go forward. And
so by not telling you who the clerk was, you couldn't get that done?
No, so I said, you are going to take my evidence. They wouldn't take it. They were afraid to take, they wouldn't take my evidence. Where have you found it in a court setting? They won't even take your own evidence. What does that tell you? Right? Because they know once they do, then they have to admit that they exist. And once they do that, they have to admit that everything they have done is 100% fraud since they opened the doors.
How do they all know this is going on within that building or any building like this all across the United States in the middle of a soft martial law here, by the way, and yet they go to work and they perform these things day in and day out? We could say it's oblivious, but they're not.
So they actually streamed the hearing. I was so surprised. They streamed it on YouTube. No video, just the audio. But they didn't they call it a meeting room. They didn't call it a courtroom. So you have to look for these subtle little changes. Because right now, they are completely canceled out. They're completely shut down. All they are operating under, they're not even operating on fumes. They're canceled out and obsolete. They are just operating under a quagmire of tomfoolery at this point. There is no foundation.
Well, they can all be held accountable at some point in the future for working in that capacity with the knowledge, understanding that they're doing that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm taking the initiative and holding these people accountable. Who is their power? The Sheriff's Department. What have I just done? I just took 2 houses from 2 different sheriff deputies. I want them to know that if they are going to continue to commit fraud, I'm simply going to continue to be correct.
That's a nice way to say it. That's a great way to say it. And I think when people get over the hypnosis of the old system and can crack through, because each person, it's like in a way, it's a little bit of a rebirthing when you go through this. You come out the other side and you've come out of the shell and you're like, whoa, what do I have now? And what do I do with it? And you recognize the power, but it's not even power. It's more the recognition. It's more the understanding, the comprehension of the old system and now what this actually can be and can mean. But we all need to sort of go there. We all need to come into joinder with the commander and understand a new way of conducting ourselves. How do you believe that people can do this easily and in a capacity or in a way that we can turn this world around? Because people are looking for hope. What you're saying is going to give some people hope in different arenas, even if they don't fully understand yet. They just know you've done it, you can do it. They don't quite understand how you've done it or what that means, but how do you give hope?
Guaranteed quantum's going to stop them dead in their tracks. Once you learn this, once you learn these 10 things, 0 is a conjunction, 1 is an adverb, 2 is a verb, 3 is an adjective, 4 is a pronoun, 5 is a position, 6 is a loading, 7 is a fact, 8 is past time, which comes before 9, which is future time. When you can learn those 10 things, no one on planet Earth will ever be able to lie to you again on paper. Pretty simple. But you just got to take the time, like some of us have, and study this. The way I like to explain it is, your entire life you've been fed plastic and been told it was food. Your mother told you it was food, your father, your teacher, your neighbors, and you've been telling them, look, man, I'm eating this plastic, it's hurting my stomach, I don't think it's food. And then you learn quantum grammar, and it's like eating organic fruits and vegetables for the first time. That's how it was for me. It was just like a bloom. I mean,
it's an awakening.
That's the best way I can describe it.
It's an energetic awakening, because when I started the interviews with Commander-in-Chief Russell-J. Gould, I ended up being in this weird dream state for the first month or two of digging into the material. And I would dream about him at night, and we'd have these like sit down conferences in my dreams. And it was such a trip. And I'd come out of that like, wow, I just feel like I went to a different dimension. And it literally took me a while to kind of absorb it.
We've entered the quantum dimension.
I did. I'm not joking you. I swear I had this experience. And as I graduated into the trust and the knowingness, it was like a child asking questions. And he was so patient all the time in answering the questions, understanding that I didn't comprehend yet. And I still have, I mean, I'm not saying that I know really anything at this point, except for I have a comprehension of the picture and the why. I understand the why and the application, because I do know one thing inherently, and have for a long time. I have known that there is this fraud that exists. And I've seen it, like you said, step by step by step, from Wells Fargo taking pennies out of your bank account and then being online with you and hanging up, and oh, you call the next time, and oh, well, sorry, oh, you're being recorded. We're recording you. You're the bad guy. Why? Because I'm reporting you? How am I the bad guy if I'm reporting you? Wait a minute. It's these psychological twists and shifts that have been allowed to continue through all corporate sectors, through these conglomerations of power structures in the government.
Let me chime in. So we're all told, oh, don't record in the courtroom. That's illegal. This is a farce. I penetrated the sheriff's department. I got in the back rooms, and I seen every single court hearing is recorded in HD, color, and audio. Okay, they're recording you. You have the right to record. Don't listen to them. And what are they going to tell you? Look at the sign. This is what I tell them. Okay, I tell you what. If you can show me one fact on that sign where it says I can't record, then I won't record. They can't do it. This is the biggest thing that I want people to take out of this. There are no facts on anything that they tell you. There's no facts. If you don't have any facts, you don't have anything. You're not talking about anything. So that's where the quantum comes in. The quantum tells the public the truth. Everything is certified facts to mean the same thing, both frontwards and backwards. So this is what people are after. That's all they want, is to be told the truth, because they've been lied to their entire life. And that's why we are seeing an overwhelming amount of people interested in quantum grammar now and the quantum construct.
It's true.
And it is amazing to watch. I'm overwhelmed with people contacting me now on quantum grammar. It is really coming full circle at this point because people are getting it. This thing they did with the stupid 19 and the pandemic, it woke people up. People that were completely asleep, it's waking those people up. And
they're
now,
looking for answers. They want
looking for answers. They can see now the stupidity, because what's happening is the quantum grammar and the people that are practicing this. What we have done is we have forced them to complete their plan ahead of schedule. So it is failing, and now quantum grammar is just we're not forcing it. Okay, this isn't something that you gotta hurry up and get a claim of the live life or the time limit's gonna run out. No, whenever you're ready, we're ready for you. And so with that, it is just a smooth transition. And like I said, it's like from 8-track tape to laser disc. That their old fraudulent system is not only collapsed, it is obsolete at this point.
So do you see Commander-in-Chief coming into power, into his position now?
He's already there. People just don't know it yet.
Do you think that people need to call him forward, or because he's already there, it doesn't matter?
No, the only way this works is if we all come together. Like I said, it is not me that rules. It's not you. It's not Chief. It's the crowd. Until the crowd gets behind it, me and the Chief and a few other individuals, we can go out there and file as many quantum documents till our we got quantum documents, coming out of their back door. But until people get behind it, it's not going to have as big as impact. And that's happening now. And I mean right now.
Yeah, we need that right now. Now, I have a listener that wanted to ask questions.
Sure, absolutely.
And,
any questions?
He is a new Live Life claimant.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Joe, and he wanted to ask the question how he would properly make certified copies of his Live Life claim. Can you answer
Yeah,
that?
so when you first get your Live Life claim, you want to make about, say 50 copies. And then in order to certify it, you have to put a real, or not real, a $1 US postal stamp, on the copy. And then you autograph, copyright copy claim, Live Life claim, and then your registration number with the post office.
And your name in quantum.
And that will make it and your thumbprint, and that will make it a certified copy.
Okay, so just reiterate that again really slowly, all the things that need to be on there. Your number, your quantum number.
When you first get your Live Life claim, which it has to be authorized by the Chief. If it's not authorized by the Chief, it doesn't have the authority. So first thing, you want to make sure that it is authorized by the Chief. Once you have your authorized copy or your original copy, make about 50 copies, and then as you need them, put a $1 US postal stamp, autograph your name across, copyright, copy claim, Live Life claim, and then your registration number and a thumbprint.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great clarity. He'll appreciate that. He has a follow-up question as well, if you don't mind. Sure. Is it encouraged or not to also add a copy of your Live Life claim when you're mailing the command letters? In other words, the 5G command letter that went out. Would you include your Live Life claim along with your command
letter?
I
said before, so the Live Life claim, you're proving that you have the authority to file quantum documents.
So therefore you would include it?
Every time you file quantum documents, you always want to have your Live Life claim because you're showing that you have the authority to do so.
But would you mail it with it, and do you
yes,
affix it together like you showed with the brass rings or the little rings?
Yeah, so that's what I do. You don't have to, but when you do that, you then don't have to put a stamp on every single different document. When you bond when you bond them all together, all you have to do is put the $1 U.S. postal stamp on the front page.
Okay, now this is a silly question, but let's say you have that and you have
There's no silly questions.
you have the ring on there, right? And
Yeah.
you want to mail this. You can't mail it in a regular envelope because now you've got this lumpy ring in there that's holding the document together. So how do you mail it? Do you mail it
It's
padded envelope or what?
same deal. It's just a little lumpy.
Really? You leave it in an envelope with those?
Yeah, of course.
They don't process it through the postal service and say, oh my gosh, what is that? You know, they're all so
well, yeah, the postal employees, they're like, well, what's going on here? Just bond the documents. And then they say, okay.
Okay. All right. No, it's silly, but people will ask that because, you know, you're going to fold it up and put it in an envelope.
So what the brass ring is representing, see, your document is a vessel. On a ship in the ocean, they use brass because it doesn't rust. So I'm just showing that, you know, my vessel has brass on there. It kind of, you know, tells them, it advertises that you know what you're talking about.
Is it just one or you use three?
You only need one. What happens is there's usually not enough room unless you purposely make enough room, because you're going to end up.
Yeah, you'll be in the margin.
You're going to end up taking up, you know, blocking out a lot of the words.
So
that's why I only use.
Yeah.
Unless I'm really putting my point across, then I'll have like 6 of them going
down. So after you've been in this and you're so passionately involved in what you're doing, which is why I'm having you here today, because after speaking with the commander and realizing his systems, you're how do I say this? Your employment of these systems, you're actually using them, and you're helping. You're assisting people, not just yourself. You're assisting people, and you're taking this into reality, into the quantum reality, which is where we're headed as a society, as an Earth plane. Even though it looks bumpy, we're going that way. So you're in this. You're doing it. Now, where do you find you want to be in the future with grammar? Where does Mitchel, Smith exist with the grammar in the future?
I want to see it taught in the schools.
Amen to you. I hope so too.
We need to just completely leave that fraudulent system behind, and this is already happening in other countries. They have already got this. They're already teaching this.
What countries?
I haven't done the entire research myself. I've just been told secondhand. I haven't checked these countries yet, but I've been told that China has already been doing this for years now, teaching quantum grammar in their schools. And so I think they're doing it in Dubai as well. So people need to understand and see, you know, what's going on, because if we don't get on this bandwagon, you know, we're going to get left behind.
Game on. And, you know, we have such savvy innovators here. We have so many young people that are so bright. And I've told Russell since the get-go, this is a gamer's dream.
That's what it feels like, a big game. So like I go in, you know, I knock this judge down, then I got to go to the next one.
Yeah.
And you get higher and higher. Like this, it's just like a video game. It's ridiculous.
Right. Okay, but
just bring them all out all at once, and I'll just cancel them all out, and then, you know, we won't waste anybody's time.
Yeah, and then we zero it out and start from a fresh slate of actual factual evidence. So this is primarily for written contract. However, I want to make this very clear. What you did and what I've heard on recordings that you're doing in the courtroom is verbal. So I want to share with people, especially since they may be new to it, how that would go. So I'm an officer and I come to you and I say, we have a warrant for your arrest. So what would you say to me right then and there? Because it's verbal.
I want to see a copy of that warrant. So on every arrest warrant, writ, or original summons to come to court, you must have what's called the Great Seal. The Great Seal, every state has one. And it's supposed to be embossed into the paper. And if you look at the federal government website, it has to be in upper and lowercase letters. This is by their own strict federal government rules. That's not going to be there. It's going to be in all uppercase. In all uppercase, they're advertising to you that that's the corporation and that it's fraud. Not only is it fraud, but it's just a rubber stamp and ink. So immediately on its face, you can tell that the warrant is 100% fraud. Now we got to be careful with this information because this is extremely high level information.
Yeah, and it's sensitive to not be toyed with. There's a responsibility.
Yes, you have to be careful.
But what I'd like to get
for the good and the bad guys.
Right. But what I'd like to have people witness is you dissecting me verbally and pulling me apart for whatever I say. See, you're saying you can say it on the spot. I want you to show people that. So I say, okay, I have a warrant for your arrest, and you say, show me that. Let's say I produce the paper, and I'm sorry, sir, you can't resist us. I don't know. I'm just, go ahead. What would you say to me to verbally undo me?
So let's just take an example. Just the other day, I got pulled over. I said, don't do it, sir. Please don't do it. I said, you can't beat me. I said, you know how they got to be the big tough guy, you know, and I'm live on Facebook. I did this live on Facebook. I said, do you know what the word syntax means? He goes, oh, you're supposed to be so intellectually higher than me. You tell me what it means. I go, no, sir. You tell me what it means because I want to see if you have the knowledge. And he wouldn't answer me, right? And I said, well, you know, sir, I'm going to give you another chance here. Do you know what the word syntax means? And he wouldn't answer me. I said, well, this is your third and final time. You know, can you tell me what the word syntax means? And you could see him. He's just clamming up. He's starting to get nervous. And I said, so if you don't answer, then by default, you agree that you don't know what the word syntax means. And if you don't know what the word syntax means, that means you can't syntax your oath of office. And if you can't do that, you can't find out that your oath of office is bastardized grammar, written in fraudulent language. So you don't have the authority. So what people don't understand is the oath of office is what gives them the authority to carry the gun and the badge. If you don't have the knowledge of the oath, you don't have the authority to carry the gun and the badge. So I got him to basically confess to felony treason live on Facebook in about 30 seconds.
Astounding. Astounding. Now, again, to reiterate, that's not a power trip. That's a stop and correct. And that's a sincere attempt at having that level communication. But what you're showing is it's not level. It's not on the same level. And it's not a, I know more than you do necessarily. It's your fiction and this is fact. And you have to prove that you're basically fiction.
And why did he pull me over? Because I put full : diplomat on my plates. And then I put my my postal registration number as my license plate number. Now, no one on planet Earth has that number but me. Okay, it wasn't like I was, you know, not telling him who I was. I gave him my life claim. They ended up arresting me. They stole my life claim. They stole my C-Pass. I had a C-Pass that I carry around with me to give me the authority to enter these foreign vessels. And when I tried to get them back, they said they were holding those as evidence against me. So right now they're holding my life claim. This is how I've got them. The only evidence that they have against me is my life claim and my C-Pass, which all my numbers match. They match my number on my license plate, the number on my life claim matched, and the number on my C-Pass matched. So all my numbers are matching. I'm the only one on planet Earth that has that one. He asked me who I was. I told him with my life claim, I said, sir, he's all, well, we don't know who you are. I said, sir, you know exactly who I am. You know, it wasn't like I was trying to say, oh no, I'm not going to give you my name or number. No, I'm right up front. Okay, in quantum, we're not here to hide. We're not here to play any games or any tricks. I gave him all the information, and they just still had to try to pretend to keep me in that fraudulent system. I told them I'm out, you know, and so what I had to do is I prosecuted them once they got me back. I told them that they had pushed my son and daughter to near death, and that I penetrated the chambers of the judge, and they said how they were going to purposely push my kids to death. I go, sir, what are you going to do about that? And by this time, they've got me handcuffed in the holding station, and this sergeant is shaking at this point. I go, you're going to do absolutely nothing, right? I said, I already know your position. I said, that's Title 42, Section 1986. I said, you had knowledge of a crime, and you did not stop to correct the wrongs that are going on here. I said, and that brings us to Title 42, Section 1988. The court loses jurisdiction while engaged in a crime, and the state's liable for all damages. They were panicking to let me go, literally panicking. I said, I'm not going anywhere. And they said, oh, what do you mean? I'm not going nowhere. I said, I'm not printing out. And I said, I'm not engaging in your usury. He goes, and he could just see the sergeant, he's really starting to panic. He's like, well, what do you want to just stay in here? I said, well, I'm not engaging. He goes, so then they threaten me. They go, well, we're just going to 5150 you. Oh. I said, sir, I have given you absolutely no resistance. I've been calm and peaceful and friendly with you this entire process. And because of that, you're going to 5150 me? He's all, that's what I was told to do. I was all, sir, if you 5150 me, I'm going to send text that document that you're going to hold me in there. And I said, that's Title 15, Section 1692E, false and misleading statements. Penalty section, Title 15, Section 78FF, carries a $25 million fine and 30 years in prison. By this time, this sergeant, I am handcuffed in their holding tank, and he's shaking. I don't have $25 million. And then the whole time, he kept asking me, you're not going to prosecute me, right? I'm trying to get you out of here. I was just silent. And then, you know, so finally I didn't feel like being drugged and tortured. Last time they drugged and tortured me, strapped me down, hands and feet, drugged me, stuck like multiple needles and just slammed it right in my arm. I thought that freaking needle went all the way through my arm. 6 of them jumped on top of me, started choking me. I gave nobody any resistance whatsoever. So instead of going through that, I did their stupid paperwork. And but it's funny because I just wrote under duress, which is adverb verb. I wasn't thinking. But they spelled my name wrong, right? So it wasn't my name. I didn't give them my address, so they didn't have my address. So they put the local homeless shelter on there, and they didn't have my signature. So they don't have my signature or my autograph. They don't have my name, and they don't have my address. So they were just like panicking to just they charged me with a felony, but they didn't. They made my bail at 0 just to get me out of there. Wow. They later dropped the felony charge. And so this is what they do. They charge you with 10 times more made up charges when there were never even any charges in the first place about anything, just to get you to plea on one. No, I went there with my quantum documents. I said, here, you're gonna take my quantum documents. I said, you're gonna take my evidence. They're all, okay, we'll take it at the next hearing. And so what I did is I said, you know, screw this. I went down to the clerk's office, you know, and I tried to get them to put an evidence sticker on there. They said, we don't have any evidence stickers. I was like, all right. So I just, they just stamped it received. It's not really, you know, official, but my quantum documents are sitting in their hands like holy water sits in the devil's hand right now.
Can
so
you get it
I
back?
don't care. Huh?
Is it worth getting it back? Can you get it back? And what will happen next? Are you going to take this forward and go after them, or?
Uh, well, yeah, I'm gonna have they eventually, unless they vacate the case, they're gonna have to put an evidence sticker on my
Mm.
on my paperwork for the evidence. They have to do it,
Well, so if
and
you
that's
have
what
the
they're.
grammar and
Huh?
you're in that situation, you have the grammar and you've talked about being in the situation, you proved that they don't have the knowledge. How do you get to the point then that they actually arrest you? Because shouldn't that stop it and you should never get to that point? Like, how does that keep happening?
That's what I'm saying. They were they're and so what also I have done is I have actually voluntarily surrendered my driver's license. So I don't have a driver's license because I don't agree to the driver's license contract. I went to DMV and got an official traveler's permit, traveler's certificate. And so they cannot write me a ticket, right? Because that's the whole deal behind the driver's license contract. As soon as you autograph or sign your driver's license,
Mm-hmm.
you're agreeing they can now write you tickets. But
And
if
so
you
do you most people use their driver's license in any variety of ways. It's required and all this crazy systematic stuff now
you
where
think it's required, you think it is, but it's not.
it's not.
Um, I
So you take,
later on we can use that for salvage. I don't know, since I voluntarily surrender it, I may not be able to run a salvage on that. I'll have to talk to Chief about that. But this was before I got into the quantum, so I was just trying to save myself, and I figured out, that DMV was 100% fraud. You don't need a driver's license unless you're a commercial driver. But yeah,
and registration for your vehicle and your plates and all that.
yeah. So this is how I have them trembling every time they pull me over or in court, because my grandfather was a 25-year highway patrol as well. So I have, large high level of law enforcement. So I know these hidden inner things. The highway patrol is a higher level of law enforcement. Whatever highway patrol follows, other law enforcement, police, the sheriff, they can't go above and make their own laws. They can't go above what highway patrol follows. And so this is what I tell them. I said, and so that's why everything that I do not break the law, because I don't want to disrespect my family in law enforcement. So I make sure that I do my research and I dig deep and I find all these things. Highway patrol does not recognize commercial, or does not only recognizes commercial vehicles. And so that's what I told him before I prosecuted him the other day, before I got him on.
Wow.
I said, sir, can you go above highway patrol rules? And then they act dumb. This is the wrong avenue to take with me. You cannot act dumb with me. He's all, oh, well, that's a pretty broad statement. And I was all, sir, can you go against the highway patrol laws, rules, and regulations and codes? He's all, oh, well, I go, okay, vehicle code 260. Can you go above vehicle code 260 that the highway patrol follows? Shut him up, right? All of a sudden, he's not Mr. Blabbermouth. He's Mr. Tongue Coma Man, right? Because he knows they cannot. And so highway patrol only recognizes commercial vehicles. If you're in your car driving or traveling from point A to point B, you don't need a driver's license. You don't need registration. You don't need license plates. And that's why I had been driving around with these license plates for years.
If you're a live life claimant or anybody?
No, anybody.
Okay.
Anybody. This, like I said, this is vehicle code 260. They only recognize commercial vehicles. If you are an Uber driver, it's making money with your car on the highway, on the roads. Uber driver, taxi driver, limo driver, commercial truck driver, yes, you need a driver's license. If you're just going to the grocery store from your house, going to work and back, it's all a trick. So when you pay all these registration and license plates, it's a donation. And of course, the DMV is going to accept your donation.
Oh
It was so
God.
funny when because I turned in my license plates and my driver's license at the same time. They're all, you can't do that. I go, these license plates are your property.
Yeah.
I go, well, what is that, like Indian giving? They wouldn't take their own. No, we don't want those. They wouldn't take their own license plates, right? They made me mail them in, and I go, and I'm turning in my driver's license too. They're all, oh, we got a traveler. You know, they're trying to, you know, and she was mad. She was so, I go, ma'am, please don't be mad at me. I said, I'm just following your rules. Vehicle code 260. She's all, don't follow that rule. I was like, and so when I tell the police officers, when I tell the sheriff's deputies, I go, look, I'm following highway patrol rules and I'm following DMV. They're all, we don't follow DMV. We don't follow DMV rules. And well, the DMV rules are to have tags and license plates. So, you know, how can you pick and choose which rules you're going to follow? And so here's another big hidden secret. So the only way that a police officer or law enforcement officer can turn on their lights or their sirens to pull you over is if there is an emergency. Your broken tail light, your tags, your license plate are not an emergency. And when the law enforcement officer uses his lights or his sirens to pull you over for that, he's creating the emergency. And when he does this, he's committing a felony.
Wow.
And you may want to remind him of that. And they know it because they physically shake. They physically shake when I point that out. It's amazing.
It's this is, you know, the average person's going to say, how am I going to learn all that? How would I learn all that? And more other people would say, I don't want to learn all that. That seems scary and I don't know what to do with it. And I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't want to be in that position. And there's those of us in the world that are willing to stand up. And there's those that are just willing to follow whatever system's in place. So what
Very good. I'm so glad you said that. Very, very good statement, Winifred. Thank you very much. So people say that to me all the time. This is my favorite one. I tell them, pretend that you have been taught all your life that all there is a red and a yellow light. That's all you've been taught. Kindergarten, your neighbors, your parents, your teachers, law enforcement. It's all they've ever taught you all your life. There's just a red and a yellow light. And the quantum grammar is the green light. And I'm telling you, look, there is a green light. And you're going, yeah, Mitch, but we've done it for so long. No, just because you've done it wrong your entire life, that doesn't mean you don't stop and correct. Same here. Quantum is the green light.
Yeah, nice.
Here we come. So get ready.
Yeah, good. That's a great way to put it. Really, that's a great analogy. And we have so many things that we're up against right now. Let's go into the big one, the IRS. The IRS was taken down by Russell. The Federal Reserve was taken down and the federal SURF system was created and put in place, yet it's not recognized. Do you think that upcoming it will be recognized?
Well, of course, just like anything else, the knowledge just needs to get out. Let me kind of break that down for you real quick. So it all started in the stock market crash in 1929. I believe it was 1934. The Treasury Department, which did not have the authority to create the IRS, created them because the country went bankrupt during the third and final bankruptcy of the 1929 stock market crash. They monetized the birth certificate, making the people the debtors. The Treasury Department created the IRS to be the debt collector. Well, we only run on 70-year bankruptcy timelines. Fast forward 70 years to 1999, the third and final bankruptcy ended. So we were no longer the debtors. And so the IRS, there was no longer a need for the debt collector. So they were kicked out of the country. They're actually in Puerto Rico. But so if you look at the gargoyles on the Vatican, they're holding the hourglass sideways. What they're doing is they're stopping time. And for the last 20 years, that is exactly what they've done. They've just kept it going. You've paid your IRS, but they haven't told you that they were canceled out and got kicked out. How can I prove this? Since 2000, you no longer write your check to the IRS, you write it to the Treasury Department. But if you look in real small letters, it'll say, in big letters, it's going to say Treasury Department, and in small little letters, it's going to say IRS, so that it doesn't, people don't, don't question it.
Do you pay them?
The answer to that the direct answer to that question is no, Winifred, I don't.
And if people stopped paying them, what would happen?
Now, let me stop you right there. You do not do like all the things, all this education that I'm at, do not do what I do until you have the knowledge to back it up.
Correct.
Otherwise, you're just going to get clobbered.
Yeah. And no, I'm not advocating people don't pay them. I'm asking a question based on what you just said that would have people naturally begging the question, well, do you? And so
the main reason I don't is because I have the knowledge that it's a lie. I can't pretend not to have the knowledge, just like the green light. Okay, I can't pretend that the green light doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. Well, I heard the actual recording myself in person off the old the tape in person with the commander-in-chief, and at the time Sergeant Horton, who played it. And it was when Russell went to Washington, D.C. with some other people.
Oh, they recorded it.
And they wanted to pay the IRS. And so they went up to the window, and you could hear the clerk shuffle about and this and that, and they were there to pay. Well, they disappeared for a while and came back, and then they acknowledged the commander for who he was. Nice. And they said on the recording, oh, we don't accept money here. we can't accept any money here. We don't accept money here. I heard it myself in this really old tape recording, but I heard the whole exchange. And that's the kind of stuff that people need to hear for themselves. And I'm not saying anarchy here. I'm looking at the truth behind a system. In this case, in quantum grammar, we're talking fact. So the fact is, if those systems were taken down, why is it not in place that there's a better and different system? Why are we playing this old fictional game? And why are you lining up again and again to keep playing this out with sheriffs and other people that don't know it and they don't get it? They do know, but they aren't correcting. So in order for a system to change and a better system to come into place, these things need to be collectively acted upon. And that's what I'm getting at. This needs to be collectively acted upon. Now, in my interviews with Russell-J. Gould, he said that he would give a jubilee. He would disband Congress immediately and give the people a year.
And I back him 100%.
To stop and absorb and correct and eat better and drink clean water and be able to clear their systems and be ready for a new system. He also said that he would have a 10% flat tax that would take care of everything. And we know also that there may be a quantum system coming into play. Is it his system? I don't know. I'm waiting to see. He's saying that his system is being copied and stolen. What do you think about that?
Yeah, just like with Homeland Security, he created Homeland-Security, and they just basically, took that. Well, we just have to keep developing in the fact is all I can add on that.
Homeland Security, just so they understand, was not intended to be a take your water bottle away from you and pat you down and all this crazy stuff that goes on. It wasn't meant for that. It was a totally different system that was in play for the betterment of the people and for them, not necessarily are you a criminal going on an airplane? That's the difference. That's what's happening here, is that everything that he's created gets turned around backwards and upside down, and now it's this psychological warfare game on the person, correct?
Correct. So people just have to have the knowledge. It just basically comes down to people have to be informed. They have to have the knowledge. And once the crowd has the knowledge, it's the crowd that rules.
And so we hope that with the work that you're doing in the world and the courage that you have, and I do say it that way sincerely because it does take courage. It takes courage to restrain yourself from reacting to a situation. It takes courage to be in a situation and have the knowledge and actually take the time to go through to obtain the knowledge. And I commend you. My hat's off to you. I mean, what I heard on that audio recording was so heartwarming because it proves what I've been doing over the last year with the chief, that everything he's saying and doing can be used by the people, and people will stop and correct, or else it will show that it's correct. This system is correct. That's what I'm getting at.
It's so funny because I had one of my friends that is still locked into the fiction, and he refuses to accept the fact and the quantum. He's seen me. He was there, and he still refused to accept that's what happened. So it's like they're people are so sure that this isn't real, that even though when they're proven it's real, they're so locked in that they in order for them to, it's just too much for their own mind to accept that it is correct, and for them to comprehend is just too much.
I understand. I have a different perspective, but one that's similar. My cat got attacked by a coyote, and the coyote, she won the fight, but the coyote broke her arm, broke her shoulder. So as the healer, the quantum healer, I took the cat and I said to her, "Are you ready?" And she limped up and crawled up on my chest and flopped down with the broken arm side up. And I put my hand on her, and the energies came, and it was so hot. It was like
yeah,
an oven.
Powerful with the
Use
heat
the
from
bones together, and she could jump on and off the bed within 24 hours and never had a limp. So I took her back to the vet just to prove we'd used the bone, and he was so mad. He's like, "Well, obviously the cat's better. Obviously we don't need to do an x-ray." I said, "No, let's do an x-ray. Let's see it." And he said, "No, we don't need to do an x-ray. We don't want to see that." Why?
Right. He didn't want to accept that. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So I get it. It's like,
good analogy.
People need to realize that just because it's different doesn't mean that you have to reject it. I think if people lean into the understanding, and here we are coming, we're coming in a wave. It was a few things in the beginning. It was War Castles, and then me, and then, Romola and Whitley and these other people, and the quantum, and here it comes. Here it is. It's being served to you on a platter. Now you're just further proof that it does work and it can be employed with proper knowledge. So let's take it the next step. You want to do what with it from this point forward, and what are you doing that people can engage with you?
So what I'm trying to do is, first step is join the quantum community, get your live claim, and start studying. Study. This is going to take you a minimum of 200 hours to even get the concept. But like I said, once you break through and you figure this out and you are able to protect yourself from anybody on planet Earth lying to you on paper, the power that you feel from that is words cannot describe it. And so what I'm working on now, of course, we have to teach the people the postal mechanics. You have to learn the postal mechanics. This entire planet is run on postal mechanics, so you must learn those and certain processes. But so what I'm trying to do is trying to simplify things, make up packages so that once people do have the live claim, they do have the knowledge and they have studied, that we can have packages that are printed out. All they got to do is put their name on it and their specific information and turn that in, right? And then go through and just go through the certain postal mechanics to free them from this tyranny, to give them some kind of protective force field, when they go into these fraudulent venues, when they're dragged in.
Yeah,
because we shouldn't even be going in, because for one, they're using the all capital name. The all capital name is dead Latin. Here's, let me back up. So during the trial by jury, I go, District Attorney, I will plead guilty right now to every charge. All you got to do is show me one fact in your paperwork. She was blah, blah, blah the whole time. Man, she just shut up. She couldn't do it. There's
and
no
she knew
facts.
it. That's the difference.
She knew it.
She knew it.
That's what told me she knew it. If
Yeah.
she didn't know it, that's what I tell people. Pay attention. See what cannot be seen. Hear what cannot be heard. If she didn't know, she would be like, well, of course there's facts. Here's one right here. This. No, she was silent. So what happens?
Yeah.
She shuts up. The judge shuts up. And the jury looks at them. They're like, well, of course, I could see the look on their face. Oh, of course there's facts. Oh, that Mitch, that guy's, he's weird. That's silly. They were there for my license. I go, I don't know if you know it, but there's no such thing as a licensed attorney or lawyer in the United States. Do you know that?
No.
Okay, so I go, jury, they're here asking me for my license. I said, ask her for her license. She doesn't have one. That's a felony. I said, Deputy, I authorize you as my tip staff. I said, I want you to arrest that district attorney for committing a felony. I said, another thing, she was supposed to file, just like a contractor, she was supposed to file for a business license on whatever city she's prosecuting in. She didn't do that either. Another felony. Deputy. And it was so funny, right out of the gate, before any questions were even asked to the jury, I go, Judge, I want your oath of office. He's all, nope. I said, okay, so you're not standing up, protecting the Constitution, and you're not defending your oath, and the office is vacant. I said, that's felony treason. I said, Deputy, I want you to arrest that man for impersonating a judge. and the freaking, the bailiff, his arms and legs were just locked, and he was just shaking. And then finally, when I figured out that he wasn't going to arrest him, I said, you don't even know what a tip staff is, right? And the first question the jury had is, do you think he's guilty? That was the very first question, right? They said, yeah, Judge, we think he's guilty. He disrespected you. I said, they said, we think he's guilty. I was like, oh my God, this guy just committed treason right in front of their face, and I prosecuted him, and I'm the bad guy.
That's conditional.
And so then I ended up proving that the jury didn't have past the second grade reading and writing level. I did I don't want to go into it because I don't want to give up, too much of my thing for the court, because I know they're watching. But at the very end, I go, Judge, when the jury was out, I go, this jury doesn't have past the second grade reading and writing level. So yeah, they don't. These are the kind of things that I wish people were there to see, right?
It's like, people need to have this. Yes. Well, record it again, record it more. Go in and
yeah. So here's the deal.
There's your TV show right there. Live.
The attorneys never got legislative authority to do what they do from Congress. Here's how it works. Congress said, we're going to just look the other way. The lawyer said, okay, we'll just lie to the population. And that's where we are. How do you become a judge? You must be a licensed attorney for 10 consecutive years. Well, guess what? If there's no such thing as a licensed attorney, that judge never was a licensed attorney for 10 consecutive years, so he never became a judge. So it is actually illegal for the district judge and the lawyer attorney to even be in the courtroom. Here's another little tidbit. So very important, you heard me say trial by jury. Now you've seen it on growing up on cartoons, on Perry Mason. The judge is always there in the courtroom during the trial by jury. Winifred, where is the judge supposed to be in a trial by jury?
Not in
Where
the
do you
courtroom,
think?
because the jury is, right?
Right? That's what you'd think, right? That's what you've been taught all your life. That's what you've been programmed. You see in the cartoons. No, it's trial by jury. That means trial by the jury, not the judge.
Right.
So the reason why you have the jury in there is because they can't tell if the judge is corrupt or not. So the judge is not even supposed to be in the building. So he's committing a felony just by being in there. And why? Because he influenced. They were so scared because I got the deputy to confess to felony treason live on the witness stand. I have it on the transcript. And the judge tells the jury, and because I got him, he's either lying or he committed felony treason, one or the other. And the judge goes, if you don't believe the deputy, if you think he's lying, just go ahead and believe him anyway. And they did. I was like, I cannot believe what I'm watching right here. Yeah, so.
Well, it's the preservation at all costs, right? The preservation of that system at all costs, no matter what. And
so when you ask a lawyer or attorney for if he's licensed, he's going to lie to you. He's going to say yes. What is he going to give you? Say, can I see your license? What do you think he's going to give you?
there is no license.
He's going to give you a bar card.
Yeah.
That's his fallback. He's going to give you a bar card.
But that bar card goes back to the Queen of England, doesn't it?
It's just like a library card. It means absolutely nothing. And nowhere on there does it say license. California Business and Professions Code 6067-6068. Every licensed attorney and lawyer must have their oath of office on the front of this alleged license. This is by their own federal government rules on their federal government website. That's not there either.
Wow.
What else?
It's so complicated. And I mean, complicated insofar as how deep it's gone now, and people just accept it instead of questioning it. So essentially what you're all doing is questioning. Let's look at this and see if that's accurate. If it's not, factual information that matches what they've already done, then they're in fraud, bottom line.
And then when you ask for this in court, Judge, I want to see that attorney's license. Denied. And then so everybody in the crowd, they're like, oh, well, this doesn't work, Mitch. That doesn't work. And so what's happening is they're being tricked into believing that it doesn't work. I am being correct. Just because they don't want to accept it, of course they don't want to accept it. Because then they gotta admit that everything they've done since they opened the doors is 100% fraud. And they have to go to jail. And that's the beauty of the quantum. They can't get past it. I'm telling you, I have now done this multiple times on multiple different cases. They cannot get past my quantum documents. Once you learn this, and once you get a claim of the live life, and you get the knowledge, then we're going to see.
Well,
then we're going to see.
Russell's going to be putting an awful lot of the legal system in jail if he steps in there right off. Because if that's true, either they all have to stop and correct, or they're all in fraud and they're going to be held accountable.
I gave them 3 chances. They blew it. What happens? So here's another powerful thing. Like when they were about to take away all custody and all visitation, they had already got temporary, and they were set to finalize it. This is why they threw me in. That's why they threw me in the mental institution. I got myself out of there in 2 days of a mandatory 2-week stay. That's a whole nother story, but I use it because of ;Russell-J, ;Gould, and ;David -Win, ;Miller. Because of them, because of their knowledge, They literally saved my life. I got myself out of a mental institution where they 5150 me 2 days of a mandatory 2-week stay. I've never even heard of this even happening ever. Once they get you in there, they were coming in. I don't want to go too deep on that, but I used the quantum to get out of there. That judge was panicking. As soon as he seen me, the judge physically ran out of the hospital, and they let me go just a short time later.
Because they had you in there on false terms. You didn't need to be there.
Well, I had just prosecuted 5 judges and attorneys for attempted murder of a child under the age of 6.
And they didn't like that, so they decided they would
didn't
deem
like
you mentally incompetent and psychiatric kind of hold.
But you want to know something? Let me just touch on this. So because my kids have been pushed, I had to become a expert child psychologist. So two of the people in there that were just like completely out of it, like they've ended up 52-50 me. So I was in like the most psychotic people you have ever seen. And 2 of them got in a fight, right? And I actually handled the situation better than the doctor, the head doctor. And he actually ended up thanking me the next day. This is
sounds like you're more of an angel that got sent in there.
No matter what, I took that entire hospital over and I ran it with an iron fist. What I did is I made these people were barely coherent. I made all of them my friends. And it was so funny because they were coming in my room every 15 minutes, 24 hours a day, trying to give me drugs. I was like, look, no, get out of here. I don't want any drugs. I don't need any drugs. Just get out of here. And finally, in front of everyone, all the patients, I said, look, I screamed at them. I said, I don't want any of your drugs. And they seen that, right? And it was so funny, just like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They were chasing them around and they were going, we don't want to take our drugs. I saw, yeah. And I was all, the nurses all, stop it. It was they wanted to get me out of there so bad. It was so funny, dude. I actually had a pretty good time in there.
Well, when you go in coherent and sane and with the knowledge, and
but so their whole thing was all they try to do is convince you that you're crazy.
Right.
And then when they pump you full of drugs, and so I stopped eating because I wouldn't take their drugs, so they started putting it in my food, and I started feeling, so I stopped eating. So I was really operating on and even though I was starving, half drugged, I was still running circles around those doctors like they had never seen. I had them trembling to get me out of there. But that's another. Let's skip to something else.
You're so fortunate that you do that, or you may never have come out of there.
But because of Full Colin Russell and Full Colin David, I'm telling you, they saved my life and got me out of there. Those doctors, I proved that doctor didn't have past a 2nd grade reading and writing level right in front of his head nurse, had her laughing at him. I thought his head was gonna explode. Who is that? Judge Imposter John Dowdy, Dr. Luke Lee, Dr. Sean Ziegler, and Dr. Patrick Munzer of Regional Medical Center in Martinez, California. Front and center for your punishment.
Scary.
Yeah, they still owe me. They owe me $25 million because I syntaxed their fraudulent. That's the whole reason they were panicking to get me out of there. They owe me $25 million, or I own that hospital, and I'm going to turn it into a veterans hospital because what they're doing to our veterans is unbelievable.
Just that, essentially, just that. Yeah, that's scary. And Russell did revamp the veterans system, so maybe you all can work together to get that done. Maybe you don't need to work with him to do it now. You can just do it. So I wish you all the best in this. We've talked for a long time, and
yeah,
I would love to have you back again because, as you can see,
awesome.
It's just continual. I mean, this is so powerful. And the reason it's powerful is because you're putting it in motion. It's actually in action, and it's coming about with results. And I can't say thank you enough for your courage and your knowledge and your compassion for human beings, because your compassion is what's driving this. I see that, not just your passion, but your compassion for those
Thank
that
you.
need the help. And, you know, God bless you. Honestly, it takes great strength. And you know that you're in the zone because you can kind of feel that energy coming through you when you do this, and you have the knowledge, so you're confident, and you go through the motions to allow them the ability to correct. And, you know, we need more of you, like 10. But so how can people contact you?
I would say through the quantum community, or the quantum language grammar on Facebook.
So people can go there and find you and kind of
Yeah,
individually
yeah, you
connect
can
with you.
find me in there. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it is
I don't have any websites or anything yet. I've got so many cases that I'm working on, people that I'm helping. Uh, I don't really have time for that, but eventually I'd like to get something set up so people have a platform. But I just want to thank everybody that's interested in quantum grammar. Please take the time to study it. It will make you more powerful than you have ever been. And I just want to say thank you, Chief. I appreciate everything you've done.
Yeah, that's
Thank
a
you
heart.
too. You have really
You're
really
welcome.
got us there, and I honor and respect you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. I never knew this part of my life was coming, but I'm so grateful that it has come. I never knew that I would be doing this and come into this, but I can't turn around, and nor would I. This is, it's a calling now. It's deep within you.
Exactly.
It's a
Exactly.
calling. And I love it. And I love you sharing your stories. Please come back
Thank you.
and share more, because people need to understand what seems impossible, but you're doing it. And let's next time bring in some of those audios so people can really hear it in the courtroom.
Okay.
They'll freak out.
Yeah.
So
Sounds good.
thank
Thank you,
you,
Winifred.
full colon Mitchell, full colon Smith. He
All
is the
right.
man. Thank you so much. We hope that everybody out there goes jolly, and that you make someone else's life brighter, and that you take this information and share it far and wide. I'll put this out on the shows. I'll put this out on YouTube. It'll be everywhere for hopefully making everybody's life brighter worldwide. And again, like you said, thank you to Commander-in-Chief full colon Russell hyphen full colon Gold for all of his work and dedication to mankind.
Thanks,
So
guys. Have a great day.
go jolly. Thanks for listening.